Here's a fun here. I'm gonna throw this out there. I was watching something the other day, and somebody said, bold statement: Taylor Swift is gonna attend more Chiefs games than Aaron Rodgers is gonna play.
Wow.
Ouch. Ouch.
That
I'm
kind of
putting money
hurts.
on it.
That kind of hurts. But you know what? We got can't even believe I'm about to say this. We got New York Giants legend Tyrod Taylor as backup quarterback in the event that Aaron does go down again. I literally am crossing my fingers because our season hopes are banking on him staying upright. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Feast or Fumble. I am the real Kris Mac here with my nearest and dearest. We got Mr. Chino, Patty Putz. We are back. We are back. Summertime in the city. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Nice.
How you doing?
Nice. I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Ready to get into these topics? First and foremost, we got post All-Star break in the Major League Baseball. What are your guys' feelings about how the league is going? We're in the thick. Teams are in the hunt, ready to start making that postseason push. Mr. Chino, what do you got?
So obviously we've been talking a lot about Yanks Phils, and that was part of the post All-Star break series that we were looking at, right? I went to one of the games, and feel bad for Phillies fans because now they're going through exactly what we went through, right? And they were talking all that smack about, oh, the Yankees are broken, it's over, the world is going to end. No, it's baseball. There's ebbs and flows. It's the longest season outside of soccer, but it is the longest season in sports. Things happen. You can't win every single game. It's not possible. So my reaction is Yanks did a great job coming out. We're looking pretty good. We're picking up some steam. Sweeping the Phils was a great feeling, especially being at the game. Couple things I really look at that stand out right now is Carlos Rodon, 3 solid straight starts. He's striking people out. He's putting some power into it. Giving up some home runs and things of that nature. I think there's been a couple games where Boone left him in there a little bit too long, but has had 3 straight solid starts. And I said this before the All-Star break when we were talking about trades. We went and got my guy, Smooth Jazz. Man, he has been making an impact. We talk about 4 home runs in 3 games. First Yankee ever to do that. We have our third baseman that can play any position. So Glaber, be warned. Verdugo, be warned. We have a center fielder. He can do it all, and he's the player that we needed because he brings the swag and the energy that, some people don't like. I was at a Phillies game, and that the 1 home run he hit the night before in the second game of the series where he did the bat flip and looked back towards the infield. We need that. The Phillies fan didn't like it. I said, I don't care what you don't like. The Yankees needed it. We've needed it since Nick Swisher. I don't know if anyone remembers when we had Nick Swisher, he brought the swag that the older guys didn't bring, and we needed that dynamic. So getting Jazz kind of brings that Nick Swisher vibe. I also think of when we traded for Curtis Granderson that same year. He's a good player that doesn't need to be the star because we have Judge, we have Soto, and it's similar to when we got Curtis, we had Jeter, we had A-Rod. So getting Jazz was huge. I know right now we're kind of letting him bat in the middle of the lineup, which I'm perfectly fine with, as long as, again, Verdugo. We've been trying Verdugo at leadoff, and he's starting to catch up. But again, I like the trade. We got the guy that I really wanted. So things are looking good right now. I'd probably say a struggle right now, if I had to pick one thing, is probably Stroman. He is really struggling right now. Last 7 games, he's 1-3 with a 6.82 ERA. It's not getting people out, and people are just getting to him early. So I don't know if he maybe when Clark Schmidt comes back, maybe he gets a break in the rotation. I think he needs it. But that's how I'm feeling right now. I feel like the Yankees are on the up, and the Phillies are. They're going through exactly what we went through. So, Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, Sean, that's a great point. It's really, really important to remember that the season is super long, and you're going to have those ebbs and flows, and it's really about maneuvering them, and making sure that you don't get too low or too high at any point during the season. Right now, the Phillies are going through a really tough stretch. They're 3-11 since the All-Star break. They're only hitting .230 as a team. Really, really tough time. I think they will snap out of it just because they're too good of a team. But the Yanks are in a great position. Like you said, Jazz was probably the perfect addition at the trade deadline. I didn't know how good of an infielder he was. Wow, it's a revelation. It's pretty amazing. And just like you said, he's bringing a lot of joy to the game and into the clubhouse. And I think the Yankees really, really needed that. So I think sometimes the pressure of being in New York is really, really hard. And if sometimes you don't have a little bit of fun like Jazz is having, then I think it could be a little too much. And I think sometimes we see that with the Gleyber Torres stuff and all that sort of stuff. But Yankees are in a great position right now, leading Major League Baseball in home runs since the All-Star break with 29. They're hitting .282 since the All-Star break. They're tied atop the AL East, so they're in perfect position. It's just a matter of us and the Orioles beating the crap out of each other for the rest of the season, I think. Hottest teams in baseball, the Padres 10-3. Sean, your Kansas City Royals 10-5. Guardians and Mets both 9-6, and then the Dodgers and the Yankees at 8-6. So we're playing above 500 ball since the All-Star break. Let's just continue to get better and better and just keep hitting the baseball. One thing, I want to see a little bit more out of Mark Leiter. I think they're looking for that eighth inning guy. I don't want to see him work his way into and out of trouble every time he's in there. I want to see that him really, really earn that David Robertson type role and then have him going into the postseason as that eighth inning guy. Chris, what do you got?
Not a great showing against the Yanks. Obviously, I look at that second game, the 14-4 game where the Phils just basically got spanked. And just echoing a lot of the sentiments you guys have already had is like the Yankees are getting hot at the right time, and the Phils are kind of like where you guys were a month ago. Just looking at the games outside of that second game, it was a pretty close contest. I mean, I'm not like too disappointed. One area of concern for me is like obviously, Suarez being the ace is like you got to start getting some more pitching help outside of just like your aces on the Phils. As far as the hitting goes, like to your point, Pat, a little bit of a struggle post All-Star break. But I see the Phils bats coming around. I mean, we definitely did a pretty decent job getting on base and running the bases 2 out of the 3 games against the Yanks. So I'm not too worried about it. With firepower like the Phils have, Braum and Schwarber and Harper, even Wilson hitting the ball pretty well. I don't see it being something that's gonna, maintain the rest of the season. Endings wise, the Phillies are still tops in the National League. Braves are creeping up. They're 6-4 since the All-Star break. So I honestly think that's really the only team that's going to push the Phils when it comes to postseason standings. But, again, not too worried. Just, it's the dog days of summer right now. And we'll see what the next few weeks and coming months show. But what was it like being like in the stadium for the matchup? I know you went to one of the games. What was the energy like? Give us your breakdown.
So I did go to the third game, which probably might have had an impact. How the first 2 games went probably had an impact on how the third game and the emotions of how Phillies fans were feeling. To be honest, I got there early, around 9 a.m. to start like tailgating and things of that nature. And to be honest with you, the sentiments and the feelings around the parking lot sweep was coming. Sweep was coming.
Sweep
And I
was
kept
coming.
saying it. I was like, man, we are about to sweep this. We're about to sweep the Phils at home. Because to be honest with you, like, again, the Phillies are struggling right now. Bryce Harper didn't even have a hit in the series. And he's supposed to be MV3, right? So I think the feelings and the energy was kind of down at that game because of us being up 2 already. And then looking at the lineup that they rolled out there, you sat Trey Turner and you sat a couple other guys, but you didn't sit the guys that you needed. I had said that Harper should have probably just taken a seat, but they don't have a backup first baseman. Like, Baum is their backup first baseman, but he's also their starting third baseman. So couldn't really maneuver that. But yeah, the feelings were down based on the series. But overall, I don't know if it's because I always talk about like how the Yankees and the Phillies are in different. We're in the AL, they're in the NL, and it's like we're not really rivals, and we don't really play each other that often. And now we're actually, based on how MLB does, where teams are going to play every single team, and I don't know if it's every other year, not off the top of my head, but every other year they're going to play each other. But you could just get the feeling like the Phillies weren't really worried about us. They don't really not like the Yankees, and it's just like, oh, we're playing the Yankees. Yankees are like this big bad monster, and it's we're small, we're in Philly, and we don't really play them. So it just felt like they didn't really care that we were gonna beat them and that we were losing, that they were losing to us. So I don't know. Again, it goes back to like we're not really rivals, and we don't really play each other. And to be honest with you, a lot of fans like that are Phillies fans. They like Yankees. So that's the sentiments I got attending the game. So.
John, what was your food of choice inside the game? Get a Schmitter?
Inside the game. What did I get inside the game? Just sausage and peppers. I'm not a big fan of the cheesesteaks in the stadium. I'd rather go to a certain spot because they have like Tony Luke's and stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan of their cheesesteaks. No offense to Tony Luke's, but just sausage and peppers.
Yeah. One of the best spots to go see a game, though. Philadelphia is awesome, especially where they have all the stadiums together. Tailgating's amazing. Locally, the Yankees fans needed that sweep pretty bad after getting slapped around a little bit by the Mets. I mean, my family is all Mets fan. I've been taking it from them a little bit. They've been making fun of me nonstop. So, as a Yankees fan, I needed the Yankees to kind of beat up on the Phillies a little bit so that I could speak to my friends and family a little bit more again.
Oh yeah, y'all got that. I got nothing there. I mean, losses.
So listen, the vibes were good. Again, that is a good stadium. The like how Philadelphia has like the stadium set up, like you said, Pat, is good. Again, it's just I don't think they were really too worried about it. It was like the Yankees are coming to town, great, awesome. Yankees fans talk smack, and it's like, we really don't. We just win a lot. Not recently, but we've won a lot over time, and we just carry that mystique. You know what I mean? Like that mystique of like we're a great franchise. And I think that's where the Phillies were like, we don't really play the Yankees that often. Like fans, we're just like, it's an awesome experience to have the Yankees in town. That's kind of the feeling. It wasn't like, oh, we want to beat them and you suck and all that stuff. So yeah, either way though, it was great to smack the Phillies around and get the sweep.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it a lot on this pod, but like there might be something to your whole Phillies have only played so many 500 teams with winning records, so there might be some validity to your statistics.
Do we need an update on that? No.
You could give us an update on that, sure. Pop in the Google machine.
Let's just let's play around here and just see what we're talking about. Because I think that you have a point. Hold, please. So right now, Phillies are 30-27 against over 500 teams, and we are 45-33.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
And for full awareness, We actually have the most wins against over 500 teams in the majors. So, just saying, makes a difference. You play good teams.
I agree. It does make a difference. But, like we always say, it is a long season. Transitioning to the NFL. Training camp is underway. This is like the most exciting time to be a football fan because everybody's team is looking good. So early training camp stories. Pat, give us a little breakdown of the G-men and what you've heard and what you've seen so far.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have been watching, but the Giants were on Hard Knocks. I think there was 5 episodes. They just aired all 5. So far, so good. It's really, really exciting to see all the, all the behind-the-scenes stuff and see what the GM and the coaching staff and what they go through on a daily basis. But really, the most exciting thing is Malik Neighbors, of course. At number 6, I was a little worried because the Giants have so many needs that maybe he might not be impactful enough for that position, but he looks like the real deal. He looks fantastic in practice. He is all over the field. Daniel Jones seems to love him already, hitting him down the field on bombs almost every single day. I would love to see him set the rookie target record, which was set by Anquan Bolden in his rookie year, which was, I think, 165 targets. I want to see Malik Neighbors break that. I think that's the type of offense the Giants should run. It should flow directly through him. One thing I'm a little nervous about, of course, just like always with the Giants, the offensive line. We're already dealing with injuries that aren't supposed to be happening. The stud tackle guard that we have from the Raiders, Illuminor, is going to have to play tackle because the guy we drafted to have a deal a few years ago is just not panning out. It just seems to be injury after injury. And then when he was on the field, he's not performing properly. And then JMS, who was a highly touted center that we drafted last year, also hurt again. So now we have guys practicing out of position. We're signing guys late in training camp, and that never leads to a good product on the field. You need to learn how to play together in training camp. Otherwise, you're not going to have that good product. So I'm a little nervous about the Giants still. I'm just encouraged about what I'm seeing out of Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors. Outside of the Giants, I'm hearing really big things out of Denver. Bo Nix sounds like the real deal. And I don't know if you remember, but Sean Payton was pretty good with another small quarterback, Drew Brees. So we'll see what happens there. And then I want to see what Sam Darnold could do with a full shot and Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones and a decent defense. I want to see if Sam Darnold could become that quarterback he was supposed to be. Sean, what do you got from Raiders camp?
Yeah, Raiders camp looking good right now. Defensively, man, I've been talking about this, man. Like, we haven't been in a position like this in a long time where we're gonna have, and I'm a bold statement, we're gonna have, I'd probably say a top 5 defense in the NFL. Mark it down.
Mark it down.
These
Top
dudes,
5.
just watching, like, these dudes are flying around. I know initially we didn't have the pads on, and there was a lot of, Antonio Pierce kept calling it out. Like, the defense keeps asking me when we're going to put pads on. They want to know when we can start hitting. And, man, when we put the pads on, you saw dudes flying around, especially, the guy, Max Crosby. Defense is going to be crazy. And I can't wait to see secondary-wise, like, where we land. I really love Jack Jones. I said that last season. He's bringing like a certain swagger to the secondary. I am a little worried about who's going to be opposite him right now. Bennett is gonna be the guy right now, but I don't know if we're gonna go sign a veteran like a Stephen Gilmore. But right now we're looking good on defense. We're flying around. As long as we can get pressure on the quarterback and win in the trenches and stop the run, like, we're, again, bold statement, we're going to be a top 5 defense. On the other side of the ball, obviously, I know going into training camp, we had the quarterback competition going on. I feel, and I said this before, I feel like Aiden is going to be the guy because he was the guy last year, and, Gardner needed to come into training camp and kind of steal it from him. And to be honest, they've kind of been here. they've been hand in hand with each other. So like they've both been making mistakes in certain areas. They both have had success. I just think that Aiden has more. He has more chemistry with the receivers. He has more chemistry with the players, and I think that's going to ultimately give him the upper hand. Am I saying that's going to save him from Gardner taking his job? No, but I think Gardner being in the picture is gonna motivate him to be like, this is it. This is my opportunity to be the guy of the Las Vegas Raiders moving forward. So he's been looking good. He's been looking good especially in the red zone, which as we know in football, that's the hardest place to score points. And he's been looking good in training camp. I look forward to Zamir White. I don't know if anybody has seen this dude. Have y'all seen this dude like in an interview and talking? This dude is jacked. He talked about his regiment. Like he's from the South. So I don't know if y'all have noticed. Like he's from the South. He has a real like strong, thick accent. But the dude talked about his regiment in the off season. All he talks about is doing farm work. He says he wakes up, eats, rides like 7 horses, then goes and runs, then eats, then rides horses again, then eats, takes a nap, comes back, rides more horses, throws some hay. The dude is jacked. He's picked up some weight, but it's all muscle. Man, he had 100 touches last season, and we saw, you all have seen it, like in certain games, he dominated. Like imagine now he's the bell cow, and he's going to get 20 to 25 touches every single game. Like, it's going to be scary. The only concern is, again, the quarterback. The quarterback play is going to be key, but if we can run the rock, we have a top 10 offensive line. If the defense is going to be good, like I mentioned, I'm super excited, man. I'm optimistic. I'm not usually very excited around like Raiders training camp because again, I'm a big proponent of like we've always had some good training camps and then it ends up being atrocious when the season comes. So like I have high hopes right now. I'm not usually excited about it, but I am excited about this one because we look really good. So look forward to that. Pat, I think around the NFL, I've been looking at Broncos. You know, Bo's he's been dealing a little bit. I will say, I did say to y'all before, I wasn't worried about the Chargers. And I don't know if y'all saw the injury to Herbert. Is that a cause for concern? I would be.
Yeah,
I would be. That'd be a cause for concern for me if my superstar quarterback has a foot injury in his plantar fasciitis, however you want to say it. That doesn't go away that fast.
No, it doesn't.
Especially for a quarterback that's mobile. I'm just saying. I called that the Chargers were going to have some issues, and I wasn't really scared of Herbert, and now I'm not. I'm scared even less. The man may be hobbled. He may be hobbled throughout the whole year, and you know what we're going to probably hear? Oh, he was injured all year, and we knew about it. No, I don't want to hear it. No excuses. So, yeah, I look forward to. This season, man. It's going to be exciting, not just for the Raiders, but I think overall NFL. I think there's going to be a lot of good teams that are going to surprise us. So, Chris, what are your thoughts in Jets camp over there?
In Jets camp, well, as you already know, the talk around Jets camp is around, you guessed it, Aaron Rodgers. The man is looking good. I can't say anything negative against Aaron. He's slinging the rock. Apparently, him and Garrett Wilson are like dialed in. They've been showcasing a lot of stuff in scrimmages, back shoulder passes, and Aaron throwing no look bombs down the sideline. So like offensively, I think we're gonna be pretty good. There's also a lot of talk. Alan Lazard has been playing pretty well in a lot of the scrimmages that I've been seeing as well. I think, for me, always the main concern when talking about the offense is the offensive line. So far, they've looked pretty good, with some of the more recent additions. Tyron Smith looking like he can help solidify a big area of concern for us last season. Obviously, since we lost Aaron for game 1 of the season last year. And a couple of other things I'm really looking at is like the defense. We got a new D coordinator, but it all starts with like that front four in the defensive line. So far, they've been doing good job pressuring the quarterback. And in that middle tier, C.J. Mosley has been having a really good training camp as well. I think he is like the quarterback on the defense. Um, you know, calling most of the plays and getting those guys rallied on the defensive side of the ball. So I mean, I think we're looking good. You know, only time will tell. We're in a pretty tough division. You know, the post Tom Brady, post Bill Belichick era in the NFC East, or sorry, AFC East. You know, it's really, we're all looking up at the Bills, who are at the top of our conference right now. So yeah, I think it's gonna be wild. I think we're probably one of the tougher divisions, at least offensively, in the AFC. So we'll see how it goes. And then, you know, around the league, also been looking at Cowboys for whatever reason. I don't know why. You know, talks about them being one of the best teams in the league this season. Outside of that, I ain't worried about nobody else. I'm I'm only focused on the Jets.
Cowboys are still proper all the time. They will always have a storyline going on.
Yeah, listen, I've heard, you know, and this is maybe my bias, but like the media just doesn't like the Raiders. But I say that because, and you correct me if I'm wrong if you haven't heard it, but every offseason, somebody is going to get traded to or get traded from the Raiders every single offseason. And talk has been Devontae Adams is going to end up on the Jets. Devontae Adams is going to end up over here. Dak Prescott's going to get traded to the Raiders. Now I'm hearing Geno Smith might get traded to the Raiders. So listen, I don't listen to the hype, but like it's the Cowboys. They always have a good offseason, and there's not they can win all the games in the world, but they're never gonna win a championship. This is not gonna happen. I don't know what they need to do. I know there's been talks about like maybe the owner Jerry needs to step down. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he takes some notes from some other owners. Maybe take a step back. But yeah, I got no comment on the Cowboys. On the Jets though, here's a fun. Here, I'm gonna throw this out there. I was watching something the other day, and somebody said, bold statement: Taylor Swift is gonna attend more Chiefs games than Aaron Rodgers is gonna play.
Wow.
Ouch.
That kind of
I'm putting
hurts.
money on it.
That kind of hurts. But you know what? We got can't even believe I'm about to say this. We got New York Giants legend Tyrod Taylor as backup quarterback in the event that Aaron does go down again. I literally am crossing my fingers because our season hopes are banking on him staying upright. And, you know, so far, as long as he's standing up straight, he can sling the rock. So, again,
Straight on the sideline.
we will see.
As far as backup quarterbacks go, you could do a lot worse than Tyrod Taylor. He's pretty good. You'll win some games with him. Last year, the Jets' offense found ways to win games still with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So, you know, I think you could still be encouraged if you're a Jets fan, even if he misses a little bit of time. But he can't go down with a major injury again. That would be.
That's going to be a hot take for me. Breece Hall. I'm going on a limb. Leads the league in all-purpose yards this season.
That's good.
Mark it down. Mark it down. This guy is a home run threat every single time he touches the ball.
He's gonna have more all-purpose yards than Christian McCaffrey.
Listen, it's my hot take. I ain't say nothing about your, you know, the doo-doo takes you be making over there about the Raiders, okay?
First off, you just said my man is gonna lead the league in all-purpose yards.
Yes.
And forgot that Christian McCaffrey still
Listen, I understand, but you got to look at we've seen historically players that play a whole entire regular season and then go into a whole entire postseason where they play in the Super Bowl. There is a bit of a drop off the following season. That's just a fact. Okay? And yes, Christian McCaffrey is a stud. Best quarterback in the NFL. All I'm saying is maybe he has just a slightly down year considering the workload that he's been put through the last 2 seasons. That's it.
Pat, I want you to do me. I'm about to say something, but Pat, can you do me a favor? Can you go look at the Google machine and tell me, after each Super Bowl, did McCaffrey have a drop off? I need to know this. What you're basing? Listen. All I'm going to say is, don't be trying to throw the Raiders into this. I didn't say the Raiders were going to have the number 1 defense. I didn't say we were going to win a Super Bowl. But you know what? You saying that makes me that's like me saying the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl this
year. Me saying Breece Hall is going to lead the league in all-purpose yards is like you saying the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl? Yes. Seriously?
That's how outlandish. That's how outlandish you're talking.
Well, look, okay? Listen. If we're going off our last wheel of death, the Raiders are going to play the Cardinals in the Super Bowl.
The Cardinals making the Super Bowl is just as outlandish.
I don't know.
It's in the same category.
I don't know.
But dude, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Okay.
I can't find a great.
I would have gave you.
I mean, you just look at his statistics. Like look at the what was it, the Panthers Super Bowl, and then look at the 49ers and see like what his next I guess season was averages.
Christian McCaffrey's a freaking machine, and I don't see it. Okay. Maybe what? Okay. I couldn't even see Breece Hall leading the league in rushing.
Well, mind you, I did not say he was going to lead the league in rushing. Great. Would you say that's more realistic for Breece Hall to lead the league in rushing?
I'm gonna go put some money on Taylor Swift to attend more.
All right.
Games in
Rodgers. All right.
So that's where I'm putting my money.
We're gonna see it. We're gonna see it.
Hot diarrhea.
Pat, what are your thoughts on the hot take and just our statements over in general?
I don't think it's that hot of a take, honestly. I think Breece Hall is super, super talented. I think it's a pretty good take. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think him, Bijan Robinson, or CMC. It's one of those 3 guys. Those are the 3 most talented running backs in the NFL, and they have probably the best opportunity for usage to have those kind of numbers. So I think it's not bad. I'm going to have to look at odds and see what kind of payout that would be on a bet. So I'm definitely writing that one down.
Feasting.
Write it down.
Feasting.
Go ahead, feast on it, and go feast on Taylor Swift.
Listen, I'm going to feast all the way to the bank. That's what I'm going to do.
Better bank on being Aaron Rodgers not dying.
Listen. I mean,
everything.
you don't make as many moves on the offensive line as the Jets made if you're not banking on Aaron Rodgers staying upright.
I agree. He needs to stay upright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he never gets the receiving yards he would need without Aaron Rodgers. So if Aaron Rodgers goes down, so does Breece Hall's chances, in my opinion.
For sure. Since we're talking NFL rankings, it's a really good transition. The list of the top 100 NFL players voted on by the players has recently come out. There are some notable discrepancies, as we kind of talked about in our production meeting. Pat, what did you think about the list? And should some people move? Should it stay the same? What are your thoughts?
I'm okay with the list. It seems like they got most of the top performers from last year. A couple names that I'm pretty surprised are on there. Zaire Franklin, surprised, but he had a great year. One name I do want to bring up that I love seeing at 95 is Julian Love, a former safety for the Giants who's now playing with the Seahawks. He just got paid. It's just nice to see him get some kind of recognition because he's a super underrated player. Aside from that, looking at the list, some things I don't like. Deron Bland being over Sauce Gardner. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Garrett Wilson at 72. I feel like he should be higher, especially with the quarterback play he had last year. And then one final thing that I really wasn't crazy about is Micah Parsons being stuck behind Dak and Jalen Hurts. I think he needs to move up that list. I think he should be a little bit closer to Max Crosby. I think they were on the pretty much the same level last year, having similar numbers in sacks. I think Max had more tackles, though. But the impact that they have on the field is a very, very similar level. But aside from that, it's pretty close. The top 10, I feel like, needs a little bit of adjusting. I don't really feel like you could really vote Lamar Jackson as a better performer than Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, but this was voted by the players, so it's their opinion. So for the most part, good list. A few mistakes, but I'm okay with it. Sean, what do you got?
Thoughts on the top 100 players voted by the players. So obviously, I know from a Raiders perspective, we don't really have like a lot of dynamic players. So to see the three Raiders land on there in Max and Devontae, I'm good with it. I'll say this to this day. I think Devontae Adams gets slighted a lot because of the team that he's on. Like he had 7 receivers ranked higher than him. He's not the 8th best receiver in the NFL. In my opinion, he's arguably top 3, depending on who's, the day, time, who's throwing the rock. But again, I think that he gets slated because he's on a bad team, but he's had career numbers as the same or better since being on our team. So maybe a little biased, but whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me. Numbers don't lie. The other piece is I love the fact that Max got his flowers. Like, the dude is a monster. I would have loved to see him a little bit higher in regards to comparison to TJ Watt. I said this last time. I felt like Max arguably could have been the defensive player of the year last year. But I'll take it. Him being in the top 10, he jumped from 17. Bold statement. He'll probably be top 5 next season, depending on how we do this year, which, again, that goes with my other hot take that will be a top 5 defense. Some surprises I'd probably say, like, yeah, Lamar Jackson being higher than Mahomes. I get it. Again, I think it's player aspects. Like, not everybody likes Patrick Mahomes, but he wins. So maybe that had a piece of it. It's like basically fuck Mahomes. I'll say it, fuck Mahomes. But I think that might have had a piece in it. There was not a lot of. The other one I was gonna say is, hold on, I had my notes here. Like Joe Burrow, like Tua being higher than Joe Burrow. Like, are we just basing it off statistics or basing it off how they did this year? Or are we just basing it off of the player that you know? And then also Jalen Hurts being higher than Dak Prescott. Like, again, what are we going based off of? Are we going based off of your team's success? Or are we going based off of player success? And technically, yes, Dak Prescott's numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. And Jalen was higher than him. So that's another piece that I had an issue with. The other one was Evan Ingram not even being on the list. He was 4th in the league in receptions, and he wasn't even on the top 100 list for tight ends. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's the team that he's on. I have no clue. But obviously, we have Travis Kelce, Kittle was on there, Laporta and Hawkinson was on there. But to have Evan not on there, and he statistically had better numbers, I don't know. But overall, I think the list is legit. Again, it's based off the top 100 players, and I agree with you, Pat. I think there could be some adjustments made in that top 10, but even in the top 20. But I'm good with the list. Chris, thoughts?
Mm, I mean, yeah, I think like overall the list of like who the best 100 players in the NFL are is pretty spot on. I don't think there's like any notable snubs. I mean, you just named one, but I think it's a pretty uh, cohesive list. I do have quite a bit of issue with like some of the placement, but again, this was like voted on by players, so maybe this is what players think is the best 100 players. I personally have issue with the top 10. Um, but like some notable things like throughout, like, to your point, Sean, I don't know what they were really basing it off of because, like, if we take like last season stats versus like, you know, uh, career numbers versus like name recognition, like this list kind of like when you start diving into like some of the placement of players, it's kind of all over the place. Like, I know, for example, where we're looking at like Derrick Henry being at 49, like, yeah, maybe like a few seasons ago I would have put him at 49, but he had a pretty like mediocre season last season. Then you start looking at like Jamar Chase at 45. I definitely would have him much higher. But considering that Joe Burrow was injured last season, that definitely added to like a dip in his numbers. So it's like, and then Joe Burrow even being at 39 is like, are we basing it off of like historically what he's done, or because he didn't play but like half the season last season? So things like that kind of like stand out to me. But there were some surprises that I was happy to see. I'm happy to see Jordan Love here at 34. I'm happy to see that CJ Strauss even made the list, being a rookie last season, coming in and being one of the best quarterbacks last season. But my main contention is in the top 10. Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but Tyreek Hill is not the best player in the NFL. Like, I'm sorry. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is at 4 and Lamar Jackson is at 2, like, what are we talking about here? Like, yeah, see, like, that's an example of like, okay, if we're basing it off of last season, sure, Lamar had statistically a better season than Mahomes, but Mahomes won the Super Bowl and was the best player on the field. So like it's a little confusing to me as to like what this criteria is for like how they ranked, who they ranked. I don't know. Pat, describe, like, explain it to me, please. I need to know. Like, what am I missing?
I wish I could. I guess they're probably talking about the impact they're making on the field, but I can't imagine a planet where the quarterback that won the Super Bowl last year isn't the number one on the top 100 players list. I just like, I don't know. Yeah, I can't. I wish I could explain it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, any explanation?
Yeah, I don't understand it. He was number one last year, and he dropped to 4, and he won the Super Bowl again, and willed his team to it. Like, again, you both know how much I hate Patrick Mahomes, but like, again, I always say it, numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. What is the criteria here? Even if it was impact on the field, if Mahomes was taken off the Chiefs, they wouldn't be winning these games. It's just point blank period. I not to contradict myself, but I understand why Lamar Jackson's always up there. He's MVP statistically in the regular season all the time. Like, quarterback wise, he's always in that conversation. So I get it, but I would agree. Like, no list possible in this world would tell me that Tyreek Hill is the best player in the NFL. There's no way possible. And I already shared my thoughts on TJ Watt and being higher than Max Crosby, when TJ Watt he's 8 and he moved up 19 spots. So he was lower ranked than Max last year, but Max had a career year this past season and he jumps him. which I don't understand that. And statistically, again, the only thing that TJ Watt had better than Max was sacks, and he had 2 touchdowns. But Max he's not running 2 touchdowns back. He gets more pressure on the quarterback. He plays every single snap of every single down. Never gets hurt. So again, it's based off of the players. I don't know how many players they actually ask. I don't know if it's every single player in the NFL or is it like a select number of players or select group of players that they ask. I don't know. I'd be curious.
I mean, if we're just talking about like sheer athletic ability, maybe I would understand the top 3. So like, yeah, Tyreek Hill, we talked about this, Pat, probably the fastest player in the NFL. And I mean, he got a lot of his touches just blowing the top off the defense and like running for touchdowns. But I mean, if we're just looking at like the top 20, you're telling me you wouldn't want to have Justin Jeffries over Tyreek Hill? You telling me you wouldn't want to have CeeDee Lamb over Tyreek Hill? Like, I mean, outside of him just like running straight down the field and catching the ball, aren't they like more complete wide receivers? Like
That's my point about Devontae Adams. He is arguably the best route runner in the NFL. He's not as fast as everyone, but go and look at highlights from the past 2 seasons. The man is always open, and it's not because the defender is not there. The defender is not there because he got shook off the route. And we're talking about Devontae Adams, and we're talking about who's throwing him the rock. He doesn't have a Tua. He didn't have a Kirk Cousins. He had a rookie quarterback that didn't start the season as our quarterback. So, again, I don't know what it is. I would take Devontae if I took this Raider jersey off and just said I'm a football fan and I'm looking at numbers. I'm taking Devontae Adams, number 1 wide receiver. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you guys on that one. Tyreek Hill, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense up there. He plays with another all-pro receiver in Jalen Waddle, 2 awfully good running backs, a very good quarterback. Yeah, I can't really say that I wouldn't want CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson over him. They do what they do with basically being the complete focal point of defenses. Opposition's target, basically trying to shut them down. And while Tyreek Hill is of course a huge weapon and so fast, when you look at the Dolphins on paper, you say you have to shut down Devin Achane, you say you have to shut down Jalen Waddle also. So yeah, I can't say that I agree with this one also.
It's tough.
As I'm going through this, it's like I'm like more and more like questioning some of the placements of stuff. Do y'all know why Trevor Lawrence is even on this list? Like, I always feel like since he's been drafted, I feel like it's been a lot of like, oh yeah, Trevor Lawrence is so good, but basically I don't see Jacksonville doing anything whatsoever. So it's like, how good is he actually?
You always they start strong, they win games. He does statistically do well. He can't finish a season, or late in the season, Jaguars start faltering. Or when they get to the playoffs, they don't win. So I think that's their problem. I think there was a lot of hype around Trevor Lawrence coming from Clemson and what he did in Clemson, and the bar is set at a certain point. So I don't know. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. You can't argue that compared to other quarterbacks that teams have.
Yeah, I do think he will get better. I think it's still fairly early on for him.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson wasn't even on the list. And now we're gonna, coming into the season, Anthony Richardson's may be on this list depending on how he plays. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence being on the list, I'm okay with. I would say if I had to pick a quarterback that shouldn't have been on this list, if we're basing it off of how that player impacted last season, Aaron Rodgers shouldn't even be on this list.
No,
but again, we don't know what we're calculating, right? So Aaron Rodgers was 92 on this list, but he didn't even play. He played a snap.
Listen, I am in agreement with you, but like historically, if we're looking at then yeah, he deserves to be on this list.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's where the gray area is of what we're all talking about here. It's like, what is this? What are they actually asking the player? Are they asking the players, like, if you had to pick a player, is this who you're picking, or is there a criteria? Like, I'd wonder what the criteria is. And again, I'd also wonder, are they asking every single player in the NFL, or are they asking a select group, which then could be a controlled, I don't know, the results could be semi-controlled because you're picking certain players that you want their opinion and not others. So,
Well, how you feel about Puka Nakua being on here at 33? Alpha had just having one good season.
he's a stud. He's a freaking stud. He just took what's his name? He took Cup's job. Took his job. And the dude's a hard-nosed wide receiver. He runs good routes, has good hands. You know, I know we're not going to talk fantasy football today, but
He's tough.
he's on the radar. And he's tough.
He's on.
Second most targets ever in a rookie season. I just looked that up, 160. He's a stud. And as long as that staff stays healthy, he's gonna be.
Yeah, I guess that's a good general question. Is like, how do you guys feel about the notable like placement of these guys who've had one good season or one breakout season?
That means that.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's just. I mean, as long as we're basing it off the 1 year, but you guys brought up the great points of Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers. Their involvement in the list kind of messes up this list a little bit because them not being on the field for the entire season. If we're talking about a player's impact over 1 year, then that's fine. I love seeing Brock Purdy on there. He deserves some recognition. He had a hell of a season. So I do like to see these guys that are maybe 1 year wonders get their little bit of recognition for now. But what the hell is Aaron Rodgers doing on there? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, you make a good point about the Puka Nakua. He was he broke the rookie record for catches and receiving yards. So he had the most targets, but he broke the record in both categories. So again, that speaks to what I'm landing at is they're basing it off of how the player impacted the game last year. And to this point, if we looked at the body of work for Puka last season, if I was a player, I'm looking at like, this dude is nasty. Like, he deserves to be on this list. But now we're diving a little bit deeper into this. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm gonna go on a soapbox here around Devontae
Hey, listen,
Adams
go
spots.
Go on it. Go on your tangent. We're here for it.
Offensively, you all know where the Raiders rank. We're in the bottom third of the NFL. Even though he had Aiden O'Connell and others as he had Jimmy Garoppolo, he had, I don't even want to say his name. He don't even deserve it. And then he had Aiden O'Connell. The dude finished top 10 in receptions, top 15 in yards, and he had 8 touchdowns. But he dropped 27 spots. I just don't understand. I just don't get that. This dude is doing it with nothing and still a top tier wide receiver in the NFL. And if anyone can think back to when he left the Packers and we got him, it was going to be like, oh, he's going to drop off because he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be able to do it with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's still doing it. He did it with Derek Carr. Did it with Jimmy. He did. Like, I just don't understand. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. Does it? Just saying. That's all I got.
I mean, who was the longtime wide receiver for the Texans that was good? I'm blanking on his name right now.
Hall of Famer, Andre Johnson.
Not Andre Johnson. More recent.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. So I think he falls into like the same category as.
Will you say what you're gonna say?
No.
What's your thought? I'm sorry. How are you? Did you just say Hall of Fame Texan wide receiver? DeAndre Hopkins is not a Hall of Famer.
I didn't say
There
Hall of
is only
Famer.
one
You said Hall of Famer.
You said Hall of Famer.
No, I didn't.
Did I hear you
I
wrong?
said longtime wide receiver for the Texans, and you said Hall of Famer DeAndre Johnson.
I swore you said Hall of Fame.
No,
All right,
I
go.
didn't. Said no such thing. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. So like DeAndre, definitely had many different quarterbacks throwing him the ball and still consistently put up 1,500 yards and double-digit touchdowns. So I think Devontae kind of falls into like that same mold of like, all right, not necessarily like the most flashy, but just consistently puts up numbers regardless of who's throwing him the ball. And a lot of times if you're not like, super flashy, like a Tyreek Hill, like a Justin Jefferson, you're not going to get that kind of notoriety. And, the longer you're in the league, the more people forget about, how great you've been, So that's my only explanation for possibly why Devontae slipped down to 40, which still puts him in the top half of the best players in the league. So I mean, it's not that terrible. But
That's
yeah,
all I got.
that's all you got? All right, cool. I like it. I like when you get emotional and passionate about things because then you go on these rants that are like good for potting. Now it's time for our favorite segment. Is it Feast or is it Fumble? Mr. Chino, what do you got for us today?
I got some good ones. Kind of on the topics that we've been talking about today, but also taking into account that the Olympics is still going on right now. But we'll stick with baseball talk, more Yankees focused, obviously. Gleyber Torres getting benched mid-game, third, fourth inning, got benched. Feast or fumbling on it if that was the right approach. Pat, what you got? What you think? How you feeling?
So this was an interesting one because I usually agree with Aaron Boone and his decisions. He's pretty mild-mannered. He's usually capable of making a really well-thought-out decision. I just think he's listening a little bit too much to the outside noise and perception of Gleyber Torres rather than just looking into the dugout and talking to him, maybe speaking with Aaron Judge a little bit. I think Aaron Judge is becoming that type of player where Aaron Boone should consult him with a lot of decisions. He always makes the right decision. He's playing out of his mind. I think Boone should consider that. But on to the Gleyber decision. This ball was smashed. Even if Gleyber busted it out of the box, I think he gets thrown out at second base. So that's my problem. So he smashed the ball. Okay, he didn't bust it out of the box. He got a single, and it maybe cost them a run. But now that you bench him, I feel like it's just kind of being more negative on top of it towards Gleyber. And I think he needs kind of special coaching in order for him to reach his true potential. I don't know how they're going to get him to get a little bit more fired up, but maybe Judge is the best way to do it and just have him work together with him to try to see what he could do to help. Unfortunately, I think Gleyber is a little bit of a head case, but I think that with better coaching and maybe with a different take of coaching, he will actually reach that potential. But I don't think Boone should have benched him in this instance. I think it was just embarrassing. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't follow the Yankees players too closely, but I did see the play in question, and yeah, I mean, he thought he hit it out the park and was, a home run. I'm gonna casually stroll around the bases. Realized that it was still, infield and paused at first base. I mean, I don't necessarily think that was like, that warranted him getting benched, but at the same time, if you're a manager, you want your guys playing hard. You want them to like be going, 100% at all times, especially in like game situations. So for like a precedent within the team to show like, hey, look, don't just like lollygag and like casually stroll the bases, like run that shit out. Like unless you see it go, like, take your hops. But yeah, definitely like make your moves to get on base. Plus, I know you guys could probably tell me like if he has a history of just kind of being like kind of lackadaisical when he plays. I mean, that might, previous actions might have implications on how, how you do get coached and what, coaching decisions. So, I'm fumbling on the benching, but I do understand why he got benched. I'll say that much.
So here's my thoughts. I'm feasting on it, but I agree with what you're saying, Pat. I think that everything that you said about Boone is spot on. Here's my concern and why I'm feasting on this. He has let it go on for too long this season, where players have just, especially Glaber, and that's to your point, Chris, about like he consistently, a lot of times you can tell like he's just not giving 100% effort. And I don't know if it's because, to your point, Pat, that he's like he needs special coaching or he just needs more hands on, or if it's the other side where he's a prima donna and just doesn't want to hustle. Like I just think of like the way Volpe approaches things. Like it feels like he approaches things as my job is on the line and I'm gonna give 110% every time I touch this diamond. I don't get that from Glaber. It's just very like lax, and the reason I agree with him doing it in that moment is because he, as the leader of the team, which he should be the manager of the team, is he needs to draw a line in the sand somewhere because it's been going on for too long. And maybe Glaber would have got thrown out at second, but you know what? I would have liked if he would have got thrown out at second, but he full on effort going forward, close play. Maybe we think about challenging it rather than I'm just gonna watch this and oh shoot, I got a single out of it. Cool. And then the next play does the same thing where he's lax running around the base and get thrown out at home. That's it for me. That's it. It's just the way Glaber just approaches the game. It just feels very lax and passive, and like he leads the majors in errors for second baseman. And a part of that is also like the way he approaches that. It just feels like lax and just too comfortable. And this is the main reason why I love us getting Jazz Chisholm. Like, you want to keep messing around? Jazz will play second base. You want to keep messing around, Verdugo, and not getting hits? Jazz will play left field. Like, I think that we've gotten to the point now where the trade deadline's over. We're not getting anybody. We have what we have. And if you're not going to give 100% effort, then go sit down. Yeah. We have someone else that can do it. So that's my concern. But I get what you're saying. Like I think it's just maybe that like Glaber is a talent. Like he is a talent. Just give 110% and you'd probably be one of the best second basemen in the majors. That's all I'm saying. Just give me more. Just give me more, man.
I think it hurts the Yankees a little. Well, it hurts Glaber a little bit that they had Robinson Cano in the past. And Robinson Cano had the ability to be super casual at all times and so smooth and still get the job done. And it never looked like he was trying hard. So for a little while, we all thought this was like Glaber's attitude. This is like Glaber. He's Robinson Cano 2.0, and he's not. He's just not doing the work behind the scenes. He's not hustling, unfortunately. And we need to see that. We need to see some sort of fire. It's tough.
Yeah, and you make a good point about Robinson Cano. He's in I think he's in the Mexican League right now, smashing home runs, doing the same stuff he was doing when he was on the Yankees. And to your point, like he was a special talent. Like he's probably one of my favorite Yankees of all time. Like he had smooth in the field, at bat, like his swing was smooth, like everything about him. Glaber's not that. Glaber has a lot of talent and probably could be one of the best second basemen in the majors. But again, it just looks like he doesn't give the effort. And everything's just lax. And, maybe you're right. Maybe he saw his predecessor and it's just like, that's awesome. Like, I want to implement my game after that. But, like, no, you're not him. Not right now. You're not even close. And I don't know what it is. And, again, maybe maybe Boone in that moment sitting him lights the fire. Because if it doesn't light the fire, I guarantee you see a Cabrera come in and play second, or you see Jazz move over to second and Cabrera play third. I don't know what that is, but we have options now. And before we didn't have options. And I think that's we weren't in this space where Boone could do it, because again, throughout the season, Boone has allowed for certain players to just look lax and just look like, I'm not giving you 110%. And that's why I think of Volpe. Like Volpe plays as if his job is on the line. Like somebody's going to take my job and I'm not letting that happen. So I'm running as hard as possible. I'm even if I feel like it's an automatic out, I'm running to first as hard as possible. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
So
you brought it up earlier, Sean, but does if the words of the coach are not reaching the player, is it on the team's best player to then pull him aside and say, "Hey, dude, you got to play better"? Does Judge need to have that conversation? Pat, do you agree, disagree?
he does. He does. Judge said he had the conversation. And Judge is doing a great job of that. And Pat, you can chime in on this. Like, I think Judge is doing a great job of being the captain. He understands full-heartedly what that title means, and he's doing a great job of that. Again, from my perspective, I just think at the end of the day, from Judge can say all he can, but at the end of the day, the player needs to make the decision that I'm gonna give 110%. That's my perspective. Pat, what are your thoughts?
Yep, totally agree. I believe that Aaron Judge is doing everything in his power as a captain, trying to really will this team and make them the best team that they could possibly be. This isn't the first time that Aaron Judge has had to defend Glaber. Earlier this year, Marcus Stroman was looking for a little bit more fire out of him. And Judge said, that's not how we handle things here. And Judge handled it himself. So I think he's really doing everything he can. I think that Aaron Boone should just continue to use him as he has been and just basically kind of run the franchise through him a little bit. That's how highly I think of Aaron Judge.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
that's it. You're the captain. I think Boone's gotten to the point where he doesn't even need to say anything to Judge. Like, Judge knows, like, all right, I gotta pull you aside and let's have this conversation real quick. Let's talk about this. And again, Judge has done an amazing job. But I think from a manager's perspective, we're at the point where there's nothing else we could do. There's no more trades that can happen. Like, the team that we have right now is the team that we have, and that's going to win us a World Series. And if he needs to make a statement with a player, one of our supposed to be better players, I think it was a good moment in time for him to do that, to just for everyone to see, like, if you ain't playing well, you're going to sit down. And that's it. Instead of, again, where before we didn't have options, it's like, I can't sit you down because you know what? We don't have another option because our backup option is playing third base. So that's my thoughts. So good discussion. I would round out Feast or Fumble with one more topic based off of the Olympics. I know ESPN recently put out their ranking of the top 25 Olympians of the 21st century, and Michael Phelps was number one on that list. Is Michael Phelps the greatest Olympian athlete of all time? Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I will feast on that. He is the most decorated Olympian of all time. He's got 28 medals. 23 of them are gold. I mean, hell, they've done like scientific analysis of his physical makeup just to show that he is like the perfect build for swimming. Like, from his wingspan to his, lung capacity, like, the man is basically a fish. Like, maybe I would put the next closest person to him to be like Usain Bolt, but I don't even think like in sprinting, like, we've always had like the fastest man alive. There's a new one seemingly like every 8 to 12 years anyway. But I don't think we've ever seen the level of dominance that we've seen from Michael Phelps, so I'm feasting on it.
Yeah, Chris, absolutely. This is a total feast. Michael Phelps is a special human being. Maybe not even a human being, like you said. Maybe he is a fish. But 23 gold medals, 3 silver, 2 bronze. He's the most decorated Olympian in American history. Keep an eye out for Katie Ledecky. She's doing her thing. She's also setting a ton of records in swimming. If she could hang around for another 4 years, we'll see if she could come a little bit closer to that Michael Phelps record. But he's just an absolute freak. He just, for so long, we were so spoiled watching him win all those gold medals, and now we're looking for the single men Olympians to win gold, and we haven't seen a ton of them, which is a little bit frustrating, but he was the best. Also, look out for Leon Marchand out of France. He is having a really awesome Olympics this year. He has 4 gold medals himself in 4 different swimming events. But yeah, I'm feasting. Michael Phelps is the greatest Olympian of all time. Sean?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here, feasting on this 100%, just because of the accolades, and the body of work and the period of time he did it. Chris, to your point, yeah, Usain Bolt, he was great because he broke records for 3 consecutive Olympics, which is tough. Man, Olympics is every 4 years, so as you get older, you know, in this case, no pun intended, you get slower. So I think that's what makes Usain Bolt so great, because of, you know, the 3 consecutive years he was just dominating, which is hard to do in the Olympics. Simone Biles' name comes up because of how she's dominating on the gymnastics side. But yeah, I think Michael Phelps is he's not human. Like, the size 14 shoe, his arm, he could touch his ankles standing straight. Like, what are we talking about here? He's not a human being.
Yeah, I think he even has like web feet too, like something crazy.
No, not real, man. He's not human. But I like what you said about, like, Katie Ledecky's close, because she's 10-time Olympian with 7 gold medals. Yeah, she's probably close. And we're thinking about, like, dominating a sport over periods of time. Like, she's on pace to do that right now. And I think she's like 27, 26, somewhere around there, right? So 4 years from now, she'll be back. And if she can keep that same dominance, we could be having a different conversation. So, yeah, Michael Phelps, greatest Olympian athlete of all time.
The guy.
Just accolades.
The guy.
He's the guy. So,
Absolutely.
that's all I got.
It was good. Good stuff. Rounding out this episode, you love it. I love it. Best bets.
Yeah, let's win some money today. So we've been talking a lot about the Yankees. Obviously, this Aaron Judge guy is pretty good. The hammer of the day, the lock of the day, is Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. Yesterday, he got it done in his first at bat. He hit a home run. He is just one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's red hot right now. So we're gonna ride it until the wheels fall off. So Aaron Judge over 1.5 bases. And then I have a nice little parlay for you guys today. We are going to do a parlay going around Major League Baseball. We're going to go Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 total bases. We're going to go Paul Skeens over 6.5 strikeouts. Bobby Witt Jr. over 1.5 total bases. And Rafael Devers over 1.5 total bases. Bobby Witt Jr., Vladdy, and Devers are 3 of the hottest hitters in baseball right now, all hitting over 500 since the All-Star break. And Paul Skeens, we've talked about him before. He's just one of the best young pitchers in baseball. He might push for Cy Young this year, honestly. So that parlay coming in at plus 1050. So let's win some money, guys.
Let's win some money.
Money time.
Sounds good. I like it. Cool. Final thoughts, Mr. Chino. What are you looking forward to this weekend or coming up?
I'm just looking at how the Yankees continue this streak of series wins, man. You know, prior to the All-Star break, we were in a bad place, like really bad place. But since the break, we've won every series since. Making sure I'm right on that one. Rays, Sox, Phils, and we're about to. Oh, we lost the Mets series. Never mind. All right, but we can win this series if we win today. So that's what matters. Sometimes I think people get stuck in the we got to win every game type mindset, and in baseball it doesn't work that way. It's all about winning the series. So let's continue to win series. So if we can win today, Garrett Cole rested, skipped the start. I might even look at Garrett Cole's strikeouts. He might get 7 today. So I look forward to seeing us continue the pace. And then from a football perspective, yeah, NFL season's almost here, man. 24 hours of nonstop. No, sorry.
Yep.
Pat, what you got?
Yeah, you touched on it, Sean. The All-Star game came at the perfect time for the Yankees. We were low at the time, and thankfully, a little bit of rest, a little bit of fun, and now it seems like we caught our stride again. Just continue to win series, just like you said. On the NFL side, preseason football coming this week. I know we had the Hall of Fame game. They ended it short, but the Giants will be playing Thursday night, I believe. I am looking forward to watching them play. I want to see Drew Lock throw a couple passes. And Tyrone Tracy is a 5th-round draft pick, I think, for the Giants. He is going to bust a run of 30-plus yards. Guys, watch that football game, okay? Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, I think NFL is coming back right at the right time. Looking forward to watching some preseason games. Speaking of the Giants, Nabbers is looking good, man. He's looking like he could be a real threat out there for the Giants. Just depends on who's going to be throwing him the ball. Yeah, and I'm kind of like dialed in for the Olympics. I mean, I found myself the last couple of weeks watching like a lot of the obscure competitions. I watched all of the judo gold medal rounds, some equestrian horse riding, the long distance target shooting. So like all of that stuff is great to watch. Really seeing a lot of the athletes that don't get the same type of recognition as like the NFL, MLB, NBA, even though, the USA team just put the smackdown on Puerto Rico recently. So it's fun. It's been fun to watch. I mean, I'm locked in for all of it. The beach volleyball, the gymnastics, everything. Like give me more. Give me more. Favorite Olympic sport off the top, Sean, go.
Basketball.
Pat, go.
I love watching water polo for some reason. I think it's so cool that they have an Olympic sport called water polo, and they have to swim around for that long of a game, and they try to kill each other basically, and they're still trying to score goals. I love water polo. What do you got, Chris?
Yeah, I'm usually dialed into track and field, 100 meters. We mentioned earlier Simone Biles doing it on the gymnastic side. So those are usually the two things that I'm locked into. But did you see your man Anthony Edwards? Ant-Man's putting on a show, man, putting the world on notice.
So it's game time. That's why.
Absolutely.
We're past the qualifiers. Ain't no more qualifying now.
Ain't no more qualifying. It's medal time. That is going to bring this episode to a close. Remember, like, share, subscribe, boost us up in the algorithms. We greatly appreciate it. For Mr. Chino, Patty Putz, I'm the real Kris Mac. This is Feast or Fumble, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.